Hey, you two, this is Rexy and Poe.
I'm Rose.
I'm Nikki.
And this is Reactcast Podcast, episode 11 of season 3. So 86 has ended.
Done. And it was a magnificent end. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Like good cheese. Mm-hmm. Ages well.
Oh, okay.
That's an analogy. So now that 86 is over, there's a couple of fun facts I have here. But you guys have had some time to think about it, so wondering if maybe you have any new thoughts on the ending, the way you feel about it. Because at the time, everyone's really pretty happy about it. But is there any like speculation about the ending that you have? Anything that you uncovered about the ending that's not like nothing too crazy?
Me personally, no. Anything that I looked up after we finished the series, I can't tell you guys.
So there's a potential for another season. You found out because they're still going apparently.
Yes, it's ongoing. It's an ongoing light novel.
Yes. Every piece of news I try to look up to see if there's going to be a season 2 is it's pretty much like if we don't hear anything in 2025, it's dead.
Really? Because one source I heard was like, we'll have enough source material for another season in 2026.
Oh, it's 2026. I thought it was 2025 last time. Because I was thinking, if the people are saying it'll be dead if nothing is heard by 2025, it means they'll have enough material by then. And if they're still not saying anything, that means they just don't want to make it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But
it does give me vibes of like Code Geass, where there's like a really strong fan base around it. Mm-hmm. That doesn't always guarantee a sequel or anything, but I can see it being on the table in the discussion room of like, do we greenlight this or not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's potential. But I have a fun fact here. So these come from tvtropes.com. And one of them was in the afterword after Volume 3, they revealed that during the run through the battlefront, basically when they were going on the spearhead thing, like the suicide charge kind of thing.
Yeah, from the first cut from Magnolia or from...
From Magnolia.
Okay.
When they sent out Shin's group to go die.
Yeah.
Originally, it was planned to be very lighthearted. It was supposed to be a happier story about them as they traveled across unknown territories evading the Legion. But the story quickly expanded and had major world-building changes just in the process of writing the story. Mm-hmm. So in the end, the only thing from the original plot that made it through was the artillery cannon that we see in the very end.
Oh, wow.
And there's speculation that the schoolhouse scene where they were all chilling was kind of in line with what originally was planned.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that part was the most lighthearted of the whole trip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It felt like because 86 is usually so sad, I wouldn't have bought it if it was suddenly more lighthearted.
Yes.
It felt like it was a goodbye to this group by going to the schoolhouse at the time to me.
I would have bought it. I would have felt like they were not bought it fully like, oh, this is so much fun, more like they're building us up for some terrible heartache. That's what I would have thought, like they could drag it out for a couple episodes and be like, oh, we're having too much fun, guys. That's how I would have taken it.
I thought it could have gone into one of those like the whole world really is dead, so it's just them in this world on their own, trying to not be spotted by the Legion, but also just trying to live a nice life. So like there's this undertone of like dystopia, but they're having fun anyway.
The friends we made along the way was the real Legion all along. For Shin, that's true.
Oh no.
So by the time you guys see this, you'll see our reaction. It's a really good ending, and a lot of people were wondering whether or not we would feel good about the ending. I think we are.
Yeah.
Like personally, it's kind of like Promised Neverland, where I can get another season, but I don't need another season.
Yeah.
This one a bit more. I'd like another season than Promised Neverland, but I'm okay if it doesn't come back.
It's opposite for me. I would want more of another season with Promised Neverland than this.
Really?
This one feels like I can see where they could take it to. Okay, we're gonna go fight more of the Legion. Okay, but I'm not. I'm kind of tired. Like, you guys could go do that. I'm gonna take a nap.
Okay.
So I'm more ready to put it down than I was for Promised Neverland, but. Yeah, I was happy with the end. I was almost not happy with it, to be honest, because they were doing credits. Yeah. And they were like, I felt like they were going to make it very rushed, but they dwelt on the scenes just long enough for me.
Yeah.
I was angry for a moment when I thought they actually ended the episode at one point. I called them bastards.
Yeah. Yes.
Good times.
That was hilarious.
Good times.
That came from the soul. I was mad.
Yeah, I heard it.
What about you?
I'm super happy with the ending. It felt like we were talking about this after we had finished the episode a little bit. It's like the difference between them going off to war at the end and them going off to war right after they got out of the Spearhead mission and into Gilead.
Yeah.
felt very different. Like by the end of it, I was like, yeah, they're going off to war, and I felt okay about that because they were in a much healthier mental space. Yes.
I just thought of an analogy for it.
What? I'm gonna hate it, aren't I?
No, it's good. It's just like when you break up with someone and you're in the rebound stage versus when you've healthily like spent some time alone and taking care of yourself and then you go into a relationship again. That's the difference.
Okay.
Is they rebounded when they went back to battle so soon and we're like, this isn't healthy, you need to take a mental break. Okay. Versus like afterwards when they were much better placed mentally and they're like, okay, now let's go back to battle. I was like, I'm okay with that, you can have a new girlfriend now.
Okay.
So that reminds me, we have a new poll that's whether or not she's allowed to make analogies. It's between him commenting in the script.
Please vote no.
What's the matter with you?
I can see your analogy, but I don't like it.
It made it worse. It made it hard to understand. But you made an interesting point when you said you felt exhausted watching the show towards it. Like exhaustion setting on seeing the fight leading over and over again. Mm-hmm. Thinking about it, this is one of the more exhausting shows that we have seen in that when I was watching it with them, it felt like a slog a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And earlier in the season, I thought it was just the story. And I have pointed out, I do think there are some pacing issues sometimes, but it's not just the story. It's a draining experience to watch a hopeless situation that constantly gets worse, and the characters themselves all acknowledge it's not gonna get better. Yeah. It's a different feeling, which I'm starting to kind of feel with Ninja Kamui. Mm. Because Ninja Kamui kills off all the happy characters, or the characters that make you feel like there's hope. Yeah. And everyone acknowledges it's a sucky situation, and hey, I'm fine for realism, but it does have a certain feeling that it adds to the show that I don't always enjoy. Mm-hmm. It's just this feeling of, and then it got worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because there's sometimes when and then it got worse is like, oh boy, here we go. I think of shows like My Hero and JJK. ReZero was kind of an in-between.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can be like, and sometimes you can be like,
you know what the difference is?
What?
The main character. Yeah. Because sometimes Subaru is in a broken mind state, so he himself doesn't believe it can get better. Yes. And the audience feels that sadness. Mm-hmm. But when you got a character like Promised Neverland, where you got someone like Emma, where no matter how bad it gets, she's constantly bouncing back, you don't feel that exhaustion, you feel hope in her, and you feel relief when things do go better. Mm-hmm. So you don't feel that exhaustion.
That's a good point. It's the characters that are basically telling us how to feel.
Yeah.
Like, wait, you're also hopeless? Wait, I have to be even more hopeless.
She's our window into the world. Like, we don't care about these people otherwise.
Yeah, well, I guess that makes ReZero, I don't know what's his name, Natsuki Subaru, like the perfect character for that world, is because even though he's like, it's like right when his toe touches the rock bottom, he's like, and we're up here again, we're on the mountain. He just completely flips it around. It's like everything is okay. Yeah.
It's true.
I was watching a YouTube clip. It suggested me some ReZero for some reason. I was saying ReZero Subaru, but from everyone else's perspective. And basically Subaru's like laughing and talking. They're like, and they're like, what's wrong, Subaru? And they're like, it's okay, I've got this. So basically, from everyone else's perspective, he's normal, then he freaks out, and then he does everything perfectly.
Yeah,
because that's true. He keeps resetting, right?
Yeah, because he freaks out when he comes back after he dies. That's true.
Mm-hmm. But the time they only remember is when it works out.
Yeah, that's so funny. Like every now and then he just goes.
He had a brain blast. He's gonna do the thing.
Oh my god.
We're gonna win, guys.
I feel like watching that from everybody else's perspective would be like watching the like the Hunter x Hunter ends last battle with King.
Yeah.
But like in like actual time order, so like you see everything happens in like 6 minutes. Like the whole battle.
I never showed you guys. I'll link it to you. It was too long to watch on the podcast, but there is a breakdown of the palace invasion in real time. It's like a 9-minute YouTube video, and it has like clips of in different corners of the screen for everything that's happening at the exact same time.
That's so cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I saw you watching it, and I was like, oh, that's a cool concept. And then I left.
I thought you were going to say you went and watched it.
No.
And I was like, I acknowledge you.
I forgot about it immediately and went to drink water.
I planned on showing it. I just forgot.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wonder if we could do a little
Mini reaction
somewhere, like maybe just on Discord or something. Because I don't know if we can. I don't know if it makes sense to upload to YouTube. You know.
At this point, probably not.
Yeah, it's a little
so
late.
much time has passed.
Yeah.
Speaking of time has passed, sorry about Promised Neverland's last episode. Taking so long to go out.
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't her.
Yeah, she had nothing to do with
The
it.
schedule was messed up on it. That's my bad, guys. I thought it was out, and I'm very surprised that you guys are just patiently waiting for so long, because it's like a week later I got a comment on the game show where it's like, hey, I don't mean to bother you guys, but
So polite.
it's probably not coming out today. Like, oh my god, it never came out. You guys are really nice. Thank you.
So polite. Yeah. Oh my god. That makes me. Oh, sorry. No, not another analogy. Don't do it. We just talked about this. I thought it was perfect analogy. No, I won't say it. It's like,
Go ahead.
I kind of want to know what it is.
it reminded me of this kid. I don't remember what show it was, but it was like this little kid. I don't know if it was like there was like chaos happening around, and they're like the kid is just like watching. It's like, excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me, can I have some water or something like that? Like there's like fighting. I don't remember what it was, but it's like this most polite little kid, like in the middle of it all. I'm like, wow, well raised, that one.
Not bad. Not bad. But it would be nice to have a reference.
Yeah, I wish I could know where it came from.
Oh my god.
But you were saying something.
Was I? I forgot now. The analogy took it out of my head.
That's okay. We had another fun fact from 86, the last one that I thought was interesting.
Oh, cool.
Someone was saying a long-standing debate among the fandom was finally put to rest because remember when we saw Shin having the breakdown and then the robot thing got up and started coming towards him right before Lena came. It was about to kill him, and it's the voice of the guy he just fought.
Yes, and
So
she shot it.
It was back. There was a back and forth for a very long time. Like, was that a hallucination or not? Because people didn't understand why he was still alive, the robot voice. And it was put to rest when the author herself tweeted out that it was a hallucination. Everything up until Lena walks up is a hallucination, including the field of the robots and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So when he got shot and blew up or whatever,
Just
it
kinda
was
knocked him out of
mentally
it.
that happened. That didn't actually happen.
Oh, okay.
Which explains why she was walking up to a giant robot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought she was just literally like
Yeah. Because we had comments explained that those guns can actually kill those things.
can.
They can.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, so that's not like a suicidal charge or anything. She could have actually killed it.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought okay, so that makes his like switch from being like, I remember when he was like holding his collar and his like looking really terrified to just like looking over to seeing who's walking over, and just a complete switch. Makes a little bit more sense if he's already like in the dredges of a mental dystopia.
Oh yeah, he was losing it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty cool. There's probably a bunch of other little things. Apparently the author is kind of active with the tweets or whatever.
That's cool.
But it's one of those things where it's information is right there, but it's in Japanese.
Yeah.
There's like,
you said that.
there's that very thin wall of separation, but it's enough to keep everyone at bay.
Yes. And it was like it's too much work to go translate.
It just takes one person to read it, or even just tweet at the authors and they're right there. You know, I mean, we could have all this information, and then suddenly it comes over because this one guy said, "Yeah, I ran to my supermarket, asked him this question." They said, "Yeah." You know? I don't know if that. Exactly.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
it's basically that was a good analogy right there.
Hey.
But yeah, that's cool. That's cool though. I like when the authors are active because I always wonder like when they kind of stay out of the limelight, like or why they don't like deal with situations like this where there's like this big questions about their story that would change how people viewed it.
Yeah.
Why they stay quiet, if it's just because they want their privacy or if it's the production company or it's just their preference to let it just be chaotic. You know,
I feel like it comes down to like kind of what you were saying with the different types of authors, the gardener or the architect. I feel like there might be authors who are like they kind of want to see what the
People come up with.
fandom comes up with and be like, that sounds, oh yeah, that reminds me of. So I've been reading a lot of like tweets and mini posts from Dungeons and Dragons
Oh,
of like
yeah.
their stories, and it reminds me of like what somebody said. My favorite part of being a dungeon master is coming up with a situation and not really thinking through how it will go, but then listening to my players throw out a bunch of weird suggestions of what's going on and being like, yes, this is it. Yes, that's exactly what's going on.
Crowdsourcing intelligence.
Crowdsourcing.
that would be so much fun. I would love that.
Yeah.
played Dungeons and Dragons, I think, twice, if I remember correctly. But yeah, very fun both times. Yeah. It's one of those things that, I mean, some people manage to do it, obviously, because you have like a Critical Role, which achieved massive success with it. But it's hard to watch personally when I'm watching people play Dungeons and Dragons. But when you're playing it, it's just completely different.
Yeah, I can imagine. It looks super fun.
What's the difference in your feelings with watching it? Is it boring or?
It's like watching people LARP.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's uncomfortable?
Yeah, it can be.
Somewhat
Like,
uncomfortable,
cringe?
Sometimes a little bit of cringe, and sometimes it's just like, I just can't get into it. Like, you're pretending to be an elf, whatever. I see you're not an elf.
Yeah. You don't look like an elf.
You're not fooling me.
But when you're playing it,
Yeah, I understand.
It's like watching somebody read a book versus reading a book. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I imagine that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Good analogy.
Analogy.
That's gonna become the title of the podcast.
Just analogy. I was just thinking of the one time I watched a bit of D&D. It was tabletop time with Jazza. Jazza likes D&D, and he had this channel for a long time ago, and he revived it. And I just watched a little bit of it, and it was this exact reflection came to me where there were videos where he changes his voice to like he's drawing a picture and he's just acting out this person's character, and I totally get immersed in it versus watching him in this tabletop show. Like, I can see his face putting on a voice, and I'm like, I can't immerse.
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
I agree.
And I never thought about it until now. I'm like, okay, that's what's happening. Because it's hard to immerse when you're seeing the face of the person that you know what they're really like.
Yes.
You can't see what they're trying to put on. How do actors do it?
Yeah, well, although the thing is, the people on Critical Role are actors. They're actors and voice actors.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
They're theater kids. They have no shame.
No shame. Yeah.
You have to believe what you're doing to do it in front of a lot of people.
Yes.
And also, there's also an element of if you watch somebody and you get to know that person as a regular self and then watch them try to put on an act, there is an element of disbelief there that you can't really enjoy as someone who knows them.
Yeah.
Whereas actors, like, I feel like because they go from like set to set, when they get used to it and being able to put on this mask, but also nobody knows you. So I mean, look at the big name actors. When they get big enough, you start saying it's that guy.
Yeah.
Versus just knowing the character for the character in the show, right?
yeah.
And the other thing I think that helps acting versus like these kind of role play is the dress up. I think they do dress up sometimes, don't they?
Sometimes, not
But
on
not all the
Critical Role,
time.
but
Yeah.
well, occasionally on specials.
And that's why I think they usually invest in art, the artwork, because that kind of helps you kind of get into it. But I was gonna say, there's a difference when you're acting. You put on a new outfit, you cut your hair different, you put on a whole look,
Whole get up.
that kind of helps the viewer escape from your real self.
Yes.
Escape into this new character.
And that's where the dungeon master comes in. You need someone to be able to have a guiding principle of like, you can be within these parameters, you can do whatever you want, but stay within these parameters.
Then there's like, and then from there, once you learn the rules, you learn to break the rules as well.
Yeah.
And then there's dungeon masters who are like, I was reading on one of these posts, somebody was saying, I know a guy rule where you have to, where you can, basically anything goes as long as you can explain
Why it happens.
how you know this person or why, give a reasonable explanation or somewhat believable explanation, basically plausible deniability explanation of why it can exist in the world.
Okay.
And it's hilarious because then it's like world building, and the dungeon master will hold you to that.
Right, that's the thing with the dungeon masters, that they have to remember everything.
Everybody.
Right?
Yes.
That's not all your characters.
How do we got here?
How we got here.
Anime. Back to anime. Yeah.
But yeah, 86, y'all. It's over.
It's done.
Yeah, and we enjoyed it.
It was fun.
That's the cap on that conversation.
Something else that we did that we probably shouldn't talk about too much till our releases on YouTube is that we also watched Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, yes.
I didn't want to talk too much about the plot of it necessarily because it's not out yet. It's okay to talk about our reactions to that movie. I remember at the time you guys had kind of mixed feelings on it because it's a very experimental show.
Yes.
And that shows in the writing itself. Matrix wouldn't exist without a show like this.
Yeah.
So I mean, has your feelings on it changed or new insights into the movie? Have you even thought about it that much?
I haven't thought about it that much, but I think my original grade kind of still stands, but I'm able to like look back on it with more positivity.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like I didn't think about it that much until it was mentioned a couple of times in so far in our podcast. But I do have a positive memory of it in that if someone asked me, because I don't remember the shows as clear as you guys, I would probably be like, oh yeah, it was a good show. Maybe more than my original grade was. But I think I could say I liked it, which I don't think I didn't like it.
No, you didn't dislike it.
I didn't dislike it, but I definitely feel it feels like more of a positive memory about it when I think about it.
Yeah, honestly, you guys' reactions sound like going to like a museum to just stare at art versus going to the movies.
Yeah.
And I think that's very intentional with Ghost in the Shells. Like, it was trying to be profound.
Yeah,
and
true.
very insighty. So I think maybe I could have done a better job of prepping you guys for what you're going into. I think that might have helped a little bit.
Maybe.
Did you guys feel like you expected something different when you're going in?
Yeah. I
Not
did.
really. I the only thing I knew about Ghost in the Shell was like her jumping off a roof. So I didn't have much other expectations.
I saw the trailer with Scarlett Johansson, so I was expecting
Jump off the roof.
the action that yes, the action that we saw, but I didn't expect as much. Like you did kind of prep us with it being a bit of an intellectual
Movie.
movie. So that kind of threw me off in the beginning. I was like, what, really? I didn't expect that from what I saw of the trailers, which was years ago, so I don't remember that clearly. But I expected it to be just another like superhero action movie. Honestly, I thought she was a superhero.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that also comes down to like our understandings of like Japanese movies, because I know Japanese. If there's a Japanese movie happening, they're trying to tell you something.
Okay.
You need to study.
Okay.
That's just what I've learned from Japanese movies in general. So I was kind of expecting it to talk to me, preach to me a little bit, So.
What did you think of that message?
The message, it was pretty cool. I liked the way they thought of it, because usually they don't go that deep into that kind of like long-term thing. Can I like spoil one thing?
Sure.
Okay, so like there's the concept of like being alive indefinitely, basically immortality, and like thinking about it in the way that they did, where they're like, immortality is it's not that great, which is a common concept in any movie with immortality, but the way they took
The
it,
explanation.
the way they explained it was interesting and very. I haven't seen anybody explain it that way before. I enjoyed it.
I had heard similar explanations, but there is something about the way it was delivered that it did feel profound when I was hearing him say it.
Yeah, and
like
I could
it's
agree.
almost like it's a flaw.
Yeah.
Like describing it almost as if it's a disease, like this is the issue, whereas like a human would describe death as the disease, the issue. It's very interesting the way you portrayed it.
Yeah, because usually like when they do the immortality bad thing, is I'm usually like, okay, but it would take like a very long time for you to get tired of being immortal, though.
Yeah,
like a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm talking like maybe a couple thousand, and then the world's changing too. You're getting to know new people and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the way he explained it, I'm like, okay, I agree, actually, my friend.
That movie will be going up, I think, the 1st of next month on Patreon. If you guys are interested, check that out. The other movie that's going to be releasing, I think Spirited Away has already been released.
No, that's next to be released.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just
it's
a
gonna
month
be,
is longer than you think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Ghost in the Shell, we're still editing.
Yeah.
It's not released on Patreon yet. So, surprise!
Yeah, so
They expected it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, because they voted on it.
Did they vote it? Okay.
Yeah, so Your Name is out.
Your Name is Out was the
Spirited
last
Away
one
will be
out.
going
Spirit Out is coming out this not next
Month, the
week
first.
after.
The
Yeah.
first.
No, not the first, because the first is a weekend.
The second.
I think it's the third or
The
something.
third.
the first what, Monday of the month or something like that.
Yes.
Early in the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the poll takes place earlier in the month, and it goes on about halfway through before we cut it off because we need enough time to actually watch it before the next month starts around.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably a more efficient way of doing that, but it seems to be working out because I think all the patrons who want to vote have been able to vote so far.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah,
We have so many polls going on right now because I think we have the show poll that's finishing on YouTube for the second show replacement.
yeah.
But then there was another poll you were going to do. We mentioned in one of the shows, and I don't remember what it was for.
It was to do whether we're going to do English or sub.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. On,
Dub or sub for which one?
The
Steins
new-
Gate.
Steins Gate, right?
Yes.
Because apparently has a really good dub.
Excellent dub. I think I watched the show in the dub. Mhm. The thing is, I was never a sub guy. I only started watching subs when we started this channel.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I've
I
always
was always
been a
watch
sub
dubs.
person.
When people say like dubs are terrible, if it's acceptable, I take it.
And because it's easier to immerse in the visuals, and because they're showing you a lot in the visuals, then you can miss a lot when you're having to read subtitles. That's the one thing that I do miss about being able to just not have to be catching the subtitles constantly.
Yeah.
Because I what it has done is trained me to read faster. I forget, I was talking to one of my coworkers and I was like, because she was complaining, her son watches anime, and she was complaining when she hates the sub because she can't read the subtitles and like keep
Watch
up with
the
the
show.
show. And I was like, yeah, you get faster and faster because she's seen our channel. And it's like, have you watched our eyes? And I've seen our eyes, like sometimes we go
Yep.
Yeah.
you have to read really fast so you can follow the video.
I've learned to like half read, like my eyes aren't like on the subtitles. It's
Like
like
just
halfway
above it?
between
Yes. Same thing.
the show and the
Really?
subtitles, and to like barely get the gist of what it's saying with like catching a couple of words,
But you
and
guys-
then watch.
I can't do that. I have to like focus.
Yeah, I
because
know you need every single word. Your FOMO. will
It
hit
is
you
the
strong.
FOMO. It is the FOMO because when I'm editing, for instance, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I completely misunderstood that scene. Like, you know how many times that has happened because I didn't read the subtitles completely. So I've been like slapped in the face with these mistakes that I have to read the subtitles.
You know what's funny? No hate, but something that's happened once that I thought was hilarious and I just never told you is I told you something in the episode that I noticed and you didn't hear me. Then you said something similar in the discussion. And then she expanded on it and said basically what I said. And I was like, she's gonna give her the credit. And I was so salty about that. But then in the editing, you said it like you just noticed it for the first time. So it's like, wait, what? It was just the same point, just kept coming up. And then in the editing, you noticed it.
Oh, like I didn't even notice it in the show.
Yeah.
No, that's happened a lot. Like where I've in Ninja Community, because I'm editing it, I notice it. Like I'll say something, like you'll say something, and I'll say the perfect response that seems like I actually understood what you said, and then 2 seconds later, I actually say what you said, and like I just got it, and then I get it in that moment of watching. Wait a minute, that's what happened.
I want you to know
So funny.
that I know you're doing that. I know that you know. Or rather,
You know that she doesn't know.
I know that you don't know.
And it's gonna keep happening.
We're very good at like autopilot responses. We really are. We're like, I understand, and then we turn around and we're like in the drawing board, and our brains trying to figure out what happened.
You see, okay, this is a pet peeve.
Okay,
all right?
sorry.
You say, I understand, or I agree. You give good responses to her. You grunt in affirmation to me. And half the time, it sounds like you're telling me to shut up. Because it's like, I'll be like, I haven't finished my sentence. Like, oh, that's what... Okay.
You do
Did
grunt.
you see that? Okay.
You do grunt in response a lot.
Because I'm trying to say, yeah, I understand where you're going with this, but I don't want to interrupt your point completely. So I just go, And go,
That's a Japanese response to it's Asian actually,
Is it?
because Chinese people do it too. They go like they that's their affirming sound.
affirming.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
You do watch a lot of anime.
Yeah. I'm I'm in every country now because I'm watching Chinese dramas now as well.
Oh, fun.
So I'm all over
Indonesia.
the board. Oh,
Yeah, so I just also wanted to point out there is a standalone version of Ghost in the Shell, a TV show,
yes.
anime. It's
Yes,
called
you mentioned
Standalone Complex. It has 54 episodes, and people say it's much more faithful to the original. So if there was one that you wanted like do a jumping off point to the manga, or just didn't want to read the manga, I've been told that's a better version for that kind of thing.
Cool. Is it just called Ghost in the Shell? What is it called?
Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. It's on Netflix.
Oh, Netflix.
Okay. And it's an anime. It's not a real.
It's an anime. It looks exactly the same.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yep.
How old is it?
It's like 2014, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
And it looks exactly the same.
People say it's pretty good. Not pretty good. It's very good. But it never picked up hype. But it's really possible to pick up the hype that Ghost in the Shell got. I have a couple more things, but because of time, I'd want to see if you have a Rose Rant.
Rose Rant. Let me see. Let me go into the recesses of my mind. You know, I don't really have a rant at the moment.
I have a rant about your tuniness, your web tuniness.
My web tuniness.
I just an observation that is just many observations that have just culminated into my observation. When you read webtoons, it looks like you're racing to the end.
Oh yeah,
have you passed her?
I haven't seen her scroll.
It's ridiculous. Like sometimes I see a cool piece of art, I'm like, oh, that's such a cool draw. Oh, let me go. Oh, there it goes. Oh, it's gone. Like there were literal blocks of text. I swear she stops for 2 seconds, maybe. Like and one time I looked at your eyes. I was like, is she reading or just like looking at the art? And you're like, like it can see you do exactly what you do on anime when you're watching anime. You just do it.
Because I know what she's doing.
What is she doing?
You're reading it, but you're getting what they're saying fast enough. Where like this isn't that important to the thing I want to read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's usually multiple plot lines, multiple layers of conversations. Like just get to it, where you argue about that thing. You know? Yeah. I do the same thing.
That makes sense. Okay, so it's not. It's like you're not really getting into what they're saying exactly. You just want to like stay on track. With them.
Sometimes it's also that like maybe it's like a really hype conversation when they're like trying to figure something out, and it's like, oh, she must have done this, and then that thing happened, and
so
I'm like, this, and you know, you want to see the next panel when they're like, oh, you know what I mean?
And I think the other thing that might make you impatient too, because I notice they have a picture and they have bubble, and it's really big, and you have to scroll a long way before the next picture. Not a long way, but there's some. I don't know if all of them are like that, but some of them I've seen. Like you have like a picture of the guy's face, and he's talking, and he's got his bubble of words, and another bubble of words, and then this big space was just like art.
Oh yeah.
And then another bubble, and then another face. So it's like you have to scroll.
Yes.
You know,
jump between them.
Work those finger muscles.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've done the same thing where it's like you see them talking about the important thing, and then suddenly they're talking about the flower arrangement in the room. It's like,
yes.
It's not necessarily that it breaks the flow or anything. It's a natural progression of conversation. You would always focus on the main thing, but it's like just get back to the main thing because as a reader, you don't care about the flower arrangements.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, okay, there we go. And lock in.
Okay.
I just kind of scroll past they're pink in the center of the room. Oh, you're telling me to make sure. Let me go back, make sure they're in the center of the room. This is going to be plot relevant, you know, because somebody's going to move the thing.
Okay.
And, you know, the OCD woman is going to scream, throw all the tables on the floor. It's going to be relevant, that kind of thing. So you just kind of learn to pick up what you need to stop for.
Okay. Well, now I'm glad I finally understand what has been going on. I never asked because I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm just watching her over her shoulder because I am. You know?
Yeah, you do just like stop next to my desk and just stare. And I'm like
so confused.
You do it so often, I don't look over at you anymore. I just wonder how long will it be this time?
Yeah, you after a while, you kind of learn to feel it.
I just feel
Every time you walk past me, I could feel you just. You walk past. But only other thing is not only other thing, but we also started Steins Gate. It will be up on Patreon by the time this is up on Patreon. So check that out if you're interested in Steins Gate. That won the poll, as I've been mentioning before.
Yes.
And even you guys gave your initial impressions, the same episode that we saw. But have you thought any more on it?
I think that The first episode is called The Beginning of the End or The End of
Prologue.
the
The prologue of the beginning of the end.
The prologue, the beginning of the end, I think. No, end of the beginning. Something like, it was the end of the beginning. Something like that.
Beginning? Okay. So my guess is like, we're gonna come back to this like at the end of season 3.
Okay.
Where he's telling her, be careful, don't stay on your own. And then he goes away and then back to where we saw this episode.
You think it's gonna be that long?
Yes.
I was thinking they'd come back to it much sooner than that, because I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It's an older show, but I feel like they have thrown us into this confusing labyrinth to kind of wander for a while. And I don't feel like they want us to stay there that long. Maybe they do. I feel like, especially because of the timing of when they give us nuggets of reality or the real reality of what's going on. It's kind of the intersperse of it. I feel like they're gonna bring us around to a track that we can follow a little bit sooner than that. So I feel like they might explain that a little sooner. I don't know. It's just my thoughts. I don't really know.
Yeah, I will say that not knowing is one of the reasons I enjoyed this show when I first watched it, because it's Bacano I saw in relatively close
I was
frequency.
thinking about Bacano.
Yeah, and then ReZero came along much later, but those 3 shows, I think they might be the only shows that gave me that feeling of confusion that's not frustrating, but understanding there's a lot going on here from the get-go, but you don't know when you're going to get all of it.
Yes.
You know?
And you're okay with that.
And I'm okay with that.
I do agree that I'm okay with being confused. Like I think in the very beginning, especially close to, I want to say as we edge towards the middle, before he leaves the building, without giving too much spoilers, I was a little bit more on the I'm confused, I need information side.
Yeah.
But then as it started to get even more confusing, it was like, okay, I'm all right. I'll sit here with some confusion for a while. It started to get more interesting, like the type of like confusion it was. So I'm in a place now where it's actually in a better place than I was with Bacano. Bacano took me a little longer to get used to the confusion. Yeah, I think it took episodes for Bacano.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I feel like right now, like episode 1, I'm like, I'm okay with this. I'm good. The spacing of the timing of them giving me information about what's going on to piece together is good. So I feel like I can wait for the next lore dump, so to speak.
Yeah. For me, it feels like Clue. The feeling reminds me of like when you're starting a game of Clue. You're like, we know something is happening. And we know that like there's a pinpoint here of something we need to investigate around. But we need to figure out everything that's not happening first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Know exactly what you mean. I mean, watching this again, I found myself actually smiling watching it, just remembering the feeling in the moment. And it was very enjoyable again, because I really don't remember most of the show. I mean, I remember like some key stuff that happened later on, but aside from that, like, this is 24 episodes in this season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it felt like 12.
Really? Wow. Wait, how many seasons?
I think 1.
Just 1?
I think. I didn't check.
With 24, that's awesome.
I didn't check. I think there might be another piece of media made for this show that's kind of like I don't know how to describe it, but kind of like
Special
this is
edition.
what this person was doing at this point in time.
Oh.
Yeah, just
like-
slice of life. I think it's literally a slice of life thing of like just different points in time.
Oh, okay.
I also enjoyed all the characters. I remember some of the characters when I saw them, like, oh yeah, you're that person. Yeah.
How do you feel about restarting a show that you've already seen, like the end of? Like, what's your favorite experience?
If I've forgotten it entirely.
Oh, okay.
But I know I liked it, which is pretty close to the case with Steins Gate, because I know I really like this show, but I also don't remember very much about it. I don't remember how it works or how things happen or the chain of events.
Yeah.
But I remember enjoying it and seeing that first episode. It's literally as I'm watching it, I remember seeing it. But it doesn't feel like I'm spoiled, because it's like I remember it in the moment it's happening. Like, oh right, yeah, that happened.
So you'll still be surprised when it happens.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I've thought of that with 86, because you watched 86 before, right?
I watched
you were leading it.
the
First couple.
Yeah, first couple of 86. and then like some in between whenever I saw it pop up on the this just in page.
Because I think about it sometimes, like, you're pretty much surprised every time we're surprised. And, like, I'm always wondering, what did she know?
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell.
What did you know?
What do you know?
I can't tell which parts you remembered.
Yeah.
Because you're always, unless you're a really good actor, or you're also being surprised in the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. Like for the beginning, I think I skipped the episode 1. So I was all over in that 86. I was all over.
The first episode.
It's a military type anime, which was not my thing.
So you're skipping the setup?
Yeah, pretty much. And I was like looking at it, I'm like, you're gonna break my heart. You're gonna hurt me. So I'll just be curious enough, and then I just skipped through, you know, just here and there. But luckily, somehow I ended up missing all of the major plot points.
I can see it.
Yeah, because they're kind of hidden in the middle of the episodes usually. Because they don't all, like, I think one or two episodes ended on cliffhangers. Most of the time they hit us and then they kind of drag us along to the end.
And you could easily skip one because sometimes bad things will happen in one episode that are major to the story, and they won't comment on it like too much for the next couple episodes.
Yeah.
Like how many characters died and they just never talked about it again after that episode.
I remember I skipped the whole like the spearhead mission, and then I was back in when they met Frederica and Ernst. I'm like, who the heck are these? Why is this house so nice? Anyway,
I can see that being very jarring and not liking it anymore when Frederica shows up. But by that point in time, the tone in the show is just so different, and a lot of people seem to really dislike her voice.
yeah.
I disliked her voice. I was almost wondering if it was like Beatrice from ReZero's voice.
It sounds like it to me.
I feel like Betty's voice was easier to swallow.
Betty's voice seemed a little bit softer, but I think the difference with Betty is it's the first time I heard a voice like that, and it matched her personality. Frederica is I know she's supposed to be royalty, whatever, so we're trying to make her seem older, like an older person in a small body, especially when they make her all wise sometimes.
Yeah.
But it didn't work most of the time. Some of the time it was okay, and most of the time it didn't. So that's why I didn't like it.
She was so all over the place that there were times I was like, is she like a robot or something? Because she was jarring.
Yes.
Like, what are you about? Are you a kid? Are you an adult? Sometimes, like you're saying, really wise. So it did throw me off.
Yeah. And she's like, I will read Nina's story. We're friends now.
Yeah.
Are you the natty here? What?
Yes, you're the kind kid now.
Yeah.
But I was thinking while you were talking about that, a show that I saw again that it did kind of rub me the wrong way for a little bit was Code Geass. Because I saw Code Geass with close enough frequency that I remembered a lot of it. And imagine rewatching Code Geass and you remember it. The first 10 episodes are slow compared to what happens.
Yes.
So it's like when you're watching it for the first time, it's not that slow because, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But knowing what's going to happen and know that the show is like down. And so it's like, can we just get past the first 2 drops? That was the feeling I had. But watching it with you guys and hearing your reactions and hearing your thoughts and stuff, that definitely made it a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I would never watch that show
By
a second
yourself.
time by myself.
No.
I mean, I think even now, after all this time, I don't know if I'd watch it a third time with another group.
Yeah.
It'd have to be like another 3 decades, and you completely forget.
It'd have to be like I'm watching it with like 20 people who've never seen it before.
Oh yeah, it has to be a lot of upside.
So then it's unenjoyable. I'm watching you guys watch the show. Like my seat is turned around watching you guys watch this.
You're just like next to the TV watching them.
Awkward.
That's great. That's fun. You're gonna love this part.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a lot of we're talking about the new shows that are coming. The other poll's about to end. By the time this is up, it's probably going to be over with 1 day left. So Violet Evergarden, check that out if you guys are interested in that kind of thing. I haven't checked again, but it's very unlikely that the other shows got a 10-point swing in 1 day. But yeah, so guys, thank you guys very much for being here. Guys, if you liked the time here, please leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. Remember, check Patreon out if you want to see these weeks ahead or see other shows weeks ahead. For instance, Steins Gate, if you're a patron, you are able to see 2 weeks ahead of what is on YouTube, and that will be the same case for Violet Evergarden. Thank you very much. See you in City. Goodbye.
Bye.